Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and part of this show is about the evolution of our body awareness, how we are here to be more embodied as conscious beings, and that's why I have with me today Megwyn White.
You know, there's many things that disconnect us from our body, anything from, physical trauma, but there's also emotional traumas. There's also, programs of ways that we're supposed to be that are given to us by the culture.
Right.
So all of this kind of disconnects us from our connective tissue.
Right.
And our connective tissue is basically, I like to think of it as the sensual container.
The connective tissue is what's between the organs and the skin, and it's everything. It's
it's basically, you can think of it like a blanket. It's a woven structure, and it goes between the muscles and the bones, and it basically holds the entire body together and allows us to express in all the complex ways that we can.
So trauma is held in that connective tissue?
Trauma is often held in that connective tissue. Oh. And or if we're not moving, if we're holding back, again, our expression. So my work basically works on giving people feedback tools to allow them into that structure, because when there's trauma, you can't feel it. You kind of left the building. Right.
So let's go into it. First, how did you come up with this?
Well, I would say that it's come through many years exploring the body and also healing my own trauma. And I would say that the trauma itself is probably the seed, of this work.
Can I ask you what your trauma was?
Yes, I was sexually abused from the time I was about 6 till I was 13. So it was.
And you held the tension of that experience in you?
Oh, yes, but I was lucky enough to get to explore theater and acting. And I think, honestly, that is the thing that saved me as a young child.
Because you could express.
Because I could express these primal emotions that they weren't allowed to be expressed. And so through these characters, I had the permission to, I think, process, right, a lot of that information, because it's information that's not being processed. That's also what trauma is.
So it gets stuck in this, and it was stuck in you, so you discovered some tools?
Well, it came through many years of exploring the body.
Yeah.
And I've had many mentors and teachers that have given me also an awareness of the architecture and the structure of the body. And so it was really in looking at the details of the alignment and also bridging that with understanding how emotions are expressed. Because sometimes when we look at the body, just, as let's say you're getting some body work done, oftentimes that body work doesn't necessarily include expression.
Like what?
So for instance, oftentimes the things that are locked in our body are things that we haven't expressed, emotions that we're holding.
Like feeling angry or sad, and they get locked in, and we
shame those emotions. We think of them as, that's a bad emotion, and I can't feel that emotion. And so the problem with trying to just move it out just through through massage or through some sort of external force, is that it doesn't address the issue at the root. It doesn't honor the person as a whole.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So maybe we can explore.
Yes, let's explore with this guy.
Yeah. So
or woman. Or guy.
It's really great to look at the skull, because you can see that it's different bones that all come together. And this one is great because it really looks kind of like a Rubik's Cube.
How many bones are there in the skull?
Well, there are many, and
no, but they intersect and interlock. Okay.
Yes, and basically these bones get very locked in when there's trauma or shame. And
into the face. That's how you see tension in people's face that they don't even know they have, because they're holding in an emotion that they haven't been able to release.
Yeah. And in many ways, it's our disconnect from our own primal energy. Like when you look at apes, right? There's this very forward. There's no shame in their expression.
Right.
They're just fully embodied. But as human beings, we're very programmed to hold the emotion in. So our jaws get locked, right? Our tongues get locked in our throat, and when we're afraid of speaking, we feel this kind of contraction in the throat.
I mean, as you're talking, I'm getting a sense that we're locked in this jail of our own repressed emotions, all of us.
Yes, yes.
Until we do this work, of course.
Well, I found that this work has really been essential for myself because because it allows basically an entry point into feeling and being able to feel things all the way through is really the way we can process those emotions. If we don't feel the emotions all the way through the body, they stay stuck, right? So we can think about the emotion, we can talk about the emotion, but then we'll also know like that it's stuck because you'll hear that the voice will also be stuck in the head.
Right, you can hear when the voice doesn't drop.
Right, right.
So let's do it. I'm sure I have a few little things stuck here and there, but
okay. So let's just we'll do a brief intro with the skull. Just so
and this is called
Haptic technology. Haptic.
Which means what?
Basically, it's similar to how you connect with your iPhone.
Okay.
The same kind of technology. I use that term because for me, the internet is very similar to the connective tissue of the body.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And it's all connected to the brain.
Okay.
Right? So I believe that the more we actually activate this connective tissue, this awareness of embodiment, we're also going to awaken new connections in the brain, and who knows?
Great. So, going back to our
going
friend.
back to the skull. So the brain is inside of the skull, right? So again, when we're locking the emotions, when we're repressing things, we're often pulling in this bone here, which is called your maxilla. Your jaw gets tight. Your cheekbones get stuck. You can see this in people that are afraid.
They don't move, you're saying?
These bones literally get stuck together.
And they should be movable.
They should be movable and be able to be expressed. And that's what also allows the sound to be more rich, more full-bodied, because the sound rides on the...
But people with trauma of sorts, they're
locked in, they're shielded, they're protecting this very vulnerable center, our expressive center.
Okay, so that's great to see that.
Yeah, but and we'll just keep this here as a reference because again, you want to think of this as a three-dimensional energy. So we tend to think of ourselves in a very flat, kind of linear way, right? Yeah. But if we start to think of ourselves in sort of more the virtual reality realm of being able to feel ourselves from the inside out and expand in 360 degrees in all directions, right? And feel ourselves in the center of that.
I get a different sense of myself when you do that. Yes.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use the tools as a way to start bridging us into that connection to that center point.
And you could do it on me.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Okay, so what we're going to use, we're going to be working with a very simple breath.
Okay.
So you're going to just inhale through the nose. Good. And then you're going to exhale through the mouth. Beautiful. Very good. Start exactly.
Okay,
uncross the legs.
I'm going to uncross my legs. Okay, we got this.
And I'm just going to guide you into a few of the details as we're working. But we're going for that full expansion. And this is counterintuitive, by the way, right? Because that trauma will want to lock us in.
Oh, okay.
So just try to...
Are those clean brushes?
Yes, these are clean brushes.
Just a little germophobic there. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start actually with the nasal bone here, the very small bone at the top.
The nasal bone, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to...
And that's good.
So it's very simple. I'm just going to pull down on the nasal bone, and I want you to relax into that breath or connect into that breath. So you're going to inhale, and now you're going to open the mouth, and you're going to relax your lips. Good. Try that again. Okay, and this time try to slow down the exhale because we're actually trying to ride the current of that embodiment, so the breath will eventually be very long.
Okay.
So you're going to inhale. Good. And then exhale slow. Relax the lips open. So the lips are also the end of that connective tissue. There you go. Good, Alan. So we're going to continue exploring just a little bit more. And I'm going to stretch the upper lip just a little bit as we're working. Good. So try to imagine that yellow bone, that maxilla, coming forward.
And
more like a primate, right? Just starting to embrace that part of you.
Keep breathing, right?
Just keep breathing, slow and deep.
What is it that you're doing to my nose?
I'm basically just trying to bridge this forward. Now we're
go
going to
ahead.
go into...
No, you can keep doing it. It's felt okay.
Okay. And so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into the cheekbones, which are which are really important.
Okay.
And so we're just going to go right into
like
the
my
inside.
cheekbones?
They're very beautiful.
Oh.
Good. And so, so just going to relax the jaw. And just deep inhale. And slow exhale. Feel the throat opening.
Yeah, I can. So you're actually getting rid of the trauma by...
Yeah, this is going to actually help to open the voice and also free a lot of tension around the vagus nerve.
The vagus
which
nerve
runs
where?
through what actually runs through our pretty much our whole body. It starts in our brainstem and then goes down through the throat and all the way down into the viscera, into
so you're
the
doing
belly.
a certain type of brush technique, like a slow brushing?
I'm actually focusing more with the brush on giving the feedback to the bones to expand out.
Oh, so
right? As you're breathing, you're allowing these bones to move out forward towards the brush.
Sorry.
Right? So because we can't feel this dimensionality.
Well, let's
normally.
keep going. No,
Okay,
I
you
like it.
You like it?
Go ahead, keep holding my nose.
So now,
I
this is
haven't
an
had anyone
area.
hold my nose in a while.
This is kind of a funny thing, but this try not to relax.
Okay.
Try not to force the jaw open.
Okay.
Good. Just relaxing the jaw open.
And people do this on themselves, or they go to you?
And people do this on themselves. And that's really the goal with this work, is so that people can work on themselves.
And it's just like a simple connecting to the brushes.
Good. So now just keep breathing. So with your lips, I know this is kind of a strange thing, but if that's the end of that blanket, so their lips are lengthening down, and there's just this kind of nice little widening
To my
to
lips.
the upper lip in particular.
So do you feel when there's more trauma in some people's faces than others?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure I have a little trauma. Do I have a bit of trauma?
You know what? We are all traumatized, I think, by the culture.
I know we are.
Right?
That's
Because we're all
awful.
taught to behave. One of the first things, like a lion, one of the first things the lion teaches its cub how to do is how to growl, how to hold its physical space. One of the first things we learn how to do is to cross our legs, right? To hold our voices back, to behave.
Right. So you're brushing against the side of the cheek.
Yeah, just feel that for a moment.
Feels interesting. I do feel like this side is more relaxed now.
Yeah.
This side. Do you want to do the other side?
I'm going to do the other side.
So people can see.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Do you see it? Do you see a difference?
Absolutely. If you can look in the camera, you can see that this side that is also softer,
Really?
a bit more vulnerable.
Really?
We hold a lot of that energy.
I do feel like...
For you hold a lot in here.
In there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the other
Do the
side.
other side.
So you're just applying the kind of...
So think again about virtual reality. Eventually, hopefully, we'll have tools that really allow us the feedback, digitally, to be able to see, am I expanding into this bone, right?
Oh.
So again, it's from the inside
Like a
out. And
biofeedback type
the
thing.
tongue
Yeah.
is a major part of this. So if the tongue is contracted back, it literally pulls the whole body down.
Wow. This is a whole science you've created.
Well, I haven't
create.
created the science, but the science is there, and it's within our bodies. We're really just this incredibly dynamic structure. But what it all roots back to is, I think Source really wants us to be fully expressed.
Absolutely.
Right, fully
embodied.
embodied.
Yeah. Well, you've changed since I've met you, whenever that was, years ago.
Definitely.
So you're pressing your little brush.
So for you, try not to think about this cut too much. I know it's like
No, I
normal
don't have to
wanna
think
go.
about it. So I can
So
do
go
it.
into just that breath. Breathe in through the nose. And then try to really slow down the exhale, relaxing the mouth open. Yes. One acting teacher I used to have said, open the barn door. Let that energy out through the mouth. There you go. Good. So just allowing yourself, just like this is a meditation, going inward, and you're just trying to feel where can I connect, for instance, to the ends of those lips, which are the end of these neural connections that all tie into the brain. That's it. Beautiful.
Yeah, just,
Beautiful. That little subtle shift was
I felt
presence.
that, yeah.
That was presence.
I just stopped thinking for a second.
Exactly.
How often would you do this to somebody?
I do this to someone.
Yeah, like would someone do this? Like once would be enough, or
No,
like
this
every
is
day?
definitely there's a lot more than the brush.
Oh.
There's other tools, but I'm just working with this tool right now. but it's a whole system that really works also with, this is, right now we're working more with the bone energy and a bit with the connective tissue, but there's also ways of working also with the water, which is very much connected to the emotions and
Being in water.
being in water, and also working with the water system of the body, the lymphatic system. So the brush for the body works on that level.
Oh, I do brush my body. I do like
And
it.
that's great for the body. And then when
Yeah.
you add the current of the embodiment, the facial expression,
Oh.
it'll take it into a whole nother dimension.
What kind of facial expression?
Basically bridging the connection of the wholeness. So if you just brush and you're kind of not, you're kind of disconnected from what you're doing in your experience, it's not going to expand you.
Oh, so as you're breathing and connecting with the brush.
You're moving into, that's why this work is so great for actors, singers, dancers, anyone that has to be on stage. It's great for opening up that magnetic presence.
Great. So did we finish
Let's
this?
just do a little bit more on this side.
Okay.
So relaxing your jaw.
Because I'm interested in all of it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Do you give courses
Yeah.
or sessions or?
Yes, I give courses and I work with people privately.
Wow.
I'm kind of an embodied dom.
Okay. What's your website?
It's megwynwhite.com.
MEG.
WYNN, white like the color,
Okay.
.com.
Okay. Good. And so you teach classes in how to do this. I do feel more relaxed.
Now this side is a little tighter than the other side.
It's my right side.
And so the jaw also connects into the hips and the pelvis. So when there's tension here, it also translates down below. So as we work through the face, we can start to really open.
The jaw connects to the pelvis.
Yes,
How's
this is a
that?
mirror. This is definitely the face is basically a mirror of it's a microcosm of everything below.
So when you loosen the jaw, because so many people hold the tension right here in
Yes.
the jaw from repressed anger or.
A lot of the repressed primal emotions, definitely.
So that's one aspect of this. So
Yes.
what about these other toys? Or do you want to get?
They're all working in a similar way. The only one that's kind of slightly more, that's a little bit more nuanced and unique to this, because there's the scalp brush that would work more
go
with.
ahead, do that. I just want to feel the scalp brush.
So we could kind of work with those together,
Oh,
actually,
go
right?
ahead.
So there's a way of connecting into. If you look at the skull, right, you see this.
Yeah.
You can just look down at it, but you can see that there's these bones at the top, and these get very stuck.
And they don't move, and
Yeah.
craniosacral's good with that too.
It is.
That feels really good.
So this helps to release some of the pressure also within the jaw.
Oh.
So as you're breathing, just try to feel, just don't try to force the jaw open, just feel it. That's it. Feel that connection to the tongue. The tongue is very connected to our repressed energy, right? It's the one of the most primal parts of us.
Wow.
That's it. That's it. So as you free the back of the tongue, and this is really key for singers in particular.
Yeah. No, I do feel my tongue getting relaxed now that you mention that.
Yeah, and it's all about, starting to tune your awareness. So as you do this more and more, your awareness will deepen. Your ability to feel these details will start to awaken.
Right, because we're so unconscious about our subtle facial anatomy.
And the details. No one teaches us these things.
We don't even feel the tension in our jaw.
Yeah,
So I can feel my voice is actually sounding a little different, doesn't it?
dropping a little deeper.
Yeah. Should do this before every show.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good one right here for you. The top of the head is very mirrored to the connection of our pelvic floor.
Oh,
Which
really?
is the muscles that support the organs from underneath. So as you're breathing with this one, you'll
It's a
feel
little uncomfortable. My
little
nose.
nose. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Yay.
Wow. And then
then we have, this is for the body.
you brush your body upwards.
It's not so, I don't use it in the way that people typically are doing it. I'm working more with the details. So again, there's these muscle connections that get locked in.
Okay.
So when we're using the brush, we can hook into the details, and as we're breathing, I'll try to do this. It's kind of hard
That's okay.
maybe to translate, but let's say I'm stroking the arm. and just connecting to the ends of the lips and to really allowing all of this to be part of it. Because again, if this is locked, and this is hard to understand from the beginning again, but how this is all very much connected. So as I release here and I stretch this, I'm actually able to expand from the inside out. And so this has helped me tremendously with ballet, for instance.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Because now with this tool, you can work really the finer details, but you can work with them in an upright position.
So as you open it's like freeing the armor that's around the body.
That's a great way of
And then you expand the chest and the ribs, and of course then if your ribs are expanded, your lungs are more expanded.
Yes, and that's really, really important when we're looking at things like trauma. So like in relationship to my sexual trauma, there's like there was a contraction. Like in my 20s, I was postured pretty much like this.
Wow.
Right, so this was an area where I was shielded. So now using the dry brush with, someone that has any type of trauma, but, particularly a sexual trauma, you can work all these details and you can bridge it into the emotional terrain, right? Because there's always a feeling that goes along with touch.
Right.
And we're in a culture
a feeling of like good or bad or this or is that what you mean?
Not even good or bad, just there's a feeling that can be associated
an emotional
awareness,
feeling.
Emotional. It's like it's being present.
Right.
And so often we're running to one thing to the next, and we don't have time to feel things. And that's where we're just doing stuff to our bodies. We're disconnecting. And so, but when we actually drop into the sensual energy, there's a wisdom there. There's a knowledge inside of that sensual energy.
But you also had to work on the emotional level forgiveness or whatever with the trauma that you or did.
Yeah, well, that actually is one of the things that's so beautiful also about working with haptic tools is that it holds you sort of through feeling those feelings, and through that holding, through that connection to touch, we're able to drop into the empathy, right? So we can have perspective. When we're in just this fight or flight, we want to, we're angry, we feel resentment, we want to hurt someone else. But when we can actually be held by ourselves and have that bridge into feeling that safety of touch and that we're controlling the touch, that often allows us into being able to express those emotions without feeling those shames.
So you work with women a lot?
I work with women and a lot with men also. Yeah.
To get rid of whatever the trauma or the abuse or the...
I like to look at it in a different way.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
like to think about trauma as more of a potential upgrade to the system. It was only really through me looking at, wow, this has allowed me actually an insight into a very unique pathway of connecting into myself.
Right.
It's like a puzzle, yeah? So it's just like in the computer system. Our computers are becoming more and more complex. They can basically filter through so much more information, right? But now we're being overwhelmed. Our consciousness is being overwhelmed with information. And how do we digest this information? Well, we have to upgrade our ability to process that energy.
So how do we upgrade that ability through these
haptic tools?
Really?
Absolutely.
It upgrades our ability to process more information because the tension is in the taking up space, would you say, for the information to flow through?
There's many neural connections that run and tie through the face, right? All the meridians go through the face.
Right.
So if there's tension and there's pressure, that's actually also putting pressure on the nerves.
Right.
And those nerves are those are the pathways for the information to
So
be
if the nerves were
transmitted.
clearer, less tension, we'd get more information.
We would be able to just digest that information and also be able to move more with our intuition, follow our hearts, right? And connect to the people that make us feel good, as opposed to the people that we think we're supposed to be around. So it's, and I think that we're going to start to also upgrade our ability to collaborate, right? As we sort of free these shames and these traumas. Because our ability to collaborate and to, come up with systems that also help us to integrate this information is inhibited because we can't find each other.
So how
feel
long,
each other.
No, I appreciate everything, all your research, all your years. How long is a session?
A session with me privately.
Yes.
It goes usually about 90 minutes. That's, yeah.
And people are totally transformed when they come out of it, I bet.
Yeah, people say they're much more dropped into their bodies and also inspired. You know.
And you're inspiring.
I love it.
Because it's worked for you.
It's worked for me. I know it works.
It does work. I can see what an amazingly different person, whenever I met you 10 years ago or whatever it was, that you are happier, you're bright, you're shining, you're more open and able to connect. So if you're giving classes, how can we take a class?
Right now I'm offering immersion course in the haptic technology for the face. And you can find that on my website at the upcoming courses.
Okay.
And,
and who's your little friend here?
This is my little sidekick. This is Reese.
I met him when I met you. Does your dog help you? Does he help you connect in with the?
He's a little yoga dog.
Does he help you connect in with the?
He's very connected to his
Do you
own
work
haptic.
on him?
I do. We do baths together. He jumps
I
into
don't
the
think I
bathtub.
do a bath with him. But what does your dog though teach you something about?
Oh yes, he definitely teaches me a lot.
What does he teach you?
You know, the biggest thing is love. You know, just like
He's a
unconditional
sweet dog.
love, and just he's so relaxed in his own being, and just trust. I think as well. Yeah.
Great. I know he's like you're wearing matching colors
right?
here. But also just tell me about what this does.
Well, this is a newer tool and something that I'm just beginning to develop, and it has to do with feeding the tissue and the energy of the brain, and basically I'm also working with salt.
Oh, so how do you do that?
This might be a little bit more difficult to try to do
just
with
describe
you right now,
it.
but basically I'm using Himalayan salt crystal
to
activate the neural connections.
You're rubbing it into the...
Rubbing it into the scalp, and I'm also working on developing some products that'll make it a little bit easier to apply, so it's not quite as messy, but right now we're just working more with this.
Okay, and then the
sponge? And then basically the sponge gets soaked in water. And then what we do is we just feed the tissue as we're allowing the face, again, to be expressed. Because again, just if we go back to the skull, if the jaw is locked, the bones at the top of the skull, for instance, will be really tight. This is like, it's like putting your brain into a jail.
Right.
And so with the sponge, what we do is we feed the tissue, feed those neural connections, so that the whole face will start to really relax. We'll do this another time.
No, we'll do it another time because this is so much to
digest.
No, I think it's great, and thank you so much, Megwyn, for being a. And tell people again about how to contact you.
Okay. You can contact me through going to my website, which is www.megwynwhite.com. And I'm teaching courses in the haptic technology for the face and also teaching live courses one-on-one.
I think it's great technology that you're bringing to people, and it's so original, and I really do feel this like peace in my body up here, my face. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm glad I've titillated your face a little bit.
You have. Thank you for being Thanks for being here. Really, I think it's great. And you teaching people how to do this too.
Yes.
I've been talking to Megwyn White and her Haptic
technology for the face and body.
Haptic technology. Keep rubbing yourself for the face and the body. Thanks for watching New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld. And if you want to reach me, go to my website, newrealities.com. And your website?
www.megwynwhite.com.
Really does feel good. Thanks for watching.